So let's turn our focus to Rex Hoggard, who's covering this week's Valero Texas Open. Rex, we've been hearing whispers about Rory's plan heading to Augusta. Before we get to that, let's dive into what you can tell us about the work that Rory's doing on his game right now.
Yeah, George, it's obvious that Rory is leaving no stone unturned as he gets ready for this Masters. He clearly understands how important this is, not just to him, but to his legacy. I actually had a chance to talk with Butch Harmon, the legendary swing coach, this morning. He confirmed that he worked last week with Rory McIlroy on his swing. Rory went to Las Vegas. The way Butch explained it, Rory was out west doing some business anyway and called him, asked if he could stop by. It was last Wednesday. He said they worked together for about 3 hours. Butch explained it was nothing technical. He said Rory was just looking for, quote, a second set of eyes. And Butch was also very, very quick to point out that he's done this before. He's worked with many of the game's top players, including Rory, Jordan Spieth, in recent years, and that Rory is still very much working with his longtime swing coach, Michael Bannon. In fact, Butch described it and explained that it actually makes it easy when he works with Rory because he and Michael Bannon have very, very similar swing philosophies. And so when he works with Rory, he's probably telling them the exact same thing that Michael is. He's just doing it in a slightly different way.
And of course, Michael Bannon was with Rory McIlroy in Florida last week as well as he begins this Masters prep. Rex, I want to take a look, Rex, at Rory's record in the week before the Masters when he's played. He doesn't do it often. He's done it 6 times, and we can see here something of a mixed bag of results. He did finish second a couple of years ago in the Masters behind Scotty Scheffler, but there has been a missed cut in there as well. Conversely, between 2015 and 2021, he always took the week before Augusta off and finished top 10 in 5 of those 7 years. He is making some tweaks, I believe, to his kind of run-up to the Masters next week.
It looks like it is, and as you pointed out, he's clearly trying to tinker with the formula, trying to come up with the best-case scenario for him going into next week. He actually tees off this afternoon at 12:30 for the Pro-Am here at TPC San Antonio. He spent the last 2 days working at Augusta National, preparing for next week's Masters, and according to a report on golfweek.com yesterday, he's going to dramatically change the way he prepares next week. He doesn't plan to get to Augusta National until Tuesday afternoon. He's not going to play in the par 3 contest. Again, just looking for some sort of formula that works. I had a chance yesterday to catch up with Adam Scott, who'll be playing in his 23rd Masters next week. And I asked him about how Rory is going through this process. And Adam said after 22 years of going and trying to find the magic, he understands exactly where he's coming from.
I think at times there can be a formula that works, but, you know, as we see all the time, stuff changes. And where I am today compared to 11 years ago going into the Masters is very different. So I think I've got to be at least open to changing that. And this week, I think being here and playing is the best thing I can do for my game going into the Masters. Being kind of tournament ready, having a bit of structure around me this week is a good thing with where everything is at. And hopefully kind of shorten up the anticipation of going into the Masters as well.
Rory was asked about this last week, and he was trying to cut down on actually the amount of time he spends at Augusta just because it can be such a long week. Have you found that as well, to try to, insulate yourself as much as possible from what's going on that week?
I think Rory and I have 2 very different experiences at Augusta. Until he wins it, he's going to be going there with the Grand Slam every year. But I fully understand what he's talking about. It's such an enjoyable place. But if you go out and play the course on Monday and you're in the mix on Sunday, you're in for a long week out there. So, at this point in my career, I feel like a late round on Tuesday, an early round on Wednesday, and let's get this thing started.
Now, Adam clearly is under the same mindset as Rory McIlroy. He did not take a scouting trip up to Augusta National this year. He said he's already learned the golf course. After 20-plus years, he knows exactly what to expect, and he'll have a similar schedule to what Rory will have next week. He plans to play a practice round on Tuesday, maybe some limited practice on Wednesday. He said he's learned over all of these years that the premium is always on rest. George?
All righty, thank you, Rex. We'll be checking back in with you at the Valero Texas Open. So, Rory McIlroy, it seems like every year has a different mindset, game plan, trope, strategy coming into the Masters. What do you think of where he's landing for the 2024 edition?
This seems much ado about nothing to me because it's ultimately a difference of a few hours. Rory McIlroy is having a press conference at Augusta National on Tuesday, so it's not as though he's arriving in on Tuesday night to try to avoid any of the noise in the build-up there. And Adam had an interesting phrase talking to Rex. He referred to shortening the anticipation. And it does get to be a very long week if you're sitting around at Augusta, because it's not like a regular tour event. You're not going off to do any content creation for the tour or any of your sponsors. There are no distractions at Augusta other than the looming tee time. And certainly with Rory McIlroy, there are the expectations that he's going to have every year going there. He's never going to be able to avoid those until he wins a green jacket. So I don't think this is necessarily a strategy to kind of avoid being asked questions. It's clearly not if he's on the press conference list. It's simply a matter of minimising the slow build of pressure where you're sitting around staring at four walls for the sake of 3-4 days before you get to that tee time. There are guys who will arrive in the weekend before, and I'm guessing Rory McIlroy's plans are very much subject to change. If he plays well at San Antonio, the plan probably doesn't change. If he plays poorly at San Antonio, if he misses the cut this week, then he may adjust. But it's not as though he doesn't know the golf course at Augusta, and he's just had 2 days of practice there. So I don't think it necessarily speaks to some kind of totally new approach to Augusta National. Certainly taking off the par 3 contest. He did play that last year. He had his daughter Poppy and his wife Erica out there last year. Not doing that, is that a big deal? A lot of guys don't bother to do that as well. It is something of a distraction.
No, but him arriving on Tuesday, definitely a change. Like other years he's come Monday, other years he's come even the Sunday before. A lot of guys will front load. They do most of their work Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday very easy so that they have their energy levels up for the start of play on Thursday. I mean, everything Rory's doing right now, if we're going to call a spade, there's clearly some concern. I put it mildly, but with where his game is at. He hasn't had
absolutely, yeah.
Top 19. He's going to talk to Butch Harmon to get a second set of eyes, which isn't totally atypical, but you're not doing that when you're playing your best golf. In majors, we've seen a good version of Rory, not a great version. His last 8 starts, he's had 7 top 10 finishes, 4 top 5s. He's been close a lot. But with the Masters, every year, it's a different mindset, a different strategy. I'm going to say it's the least important tournament. I'm going to say it's the most important tournament. Yeah. I'm coming Tuesday. I'm coming Sunday. Why not stick with a formula
that... The formula doesn't work so clearly.
But it's worked in so many other tournaments. Mm-hmm. And if you keep treating the Masters like it's its own island every year, and that it needs a different formula than you treat every other tournament that you play in the rest of the year, then you're putting so much added weight and pressure. Not only are you receiving it externally, but you're projecting that from what you're feeling internally. And we can all see it. And it's just magnified once he's there. And he's had runner-up finishes. He had 5 top 10 finishes in a 6-year span. Yep. He's been in the final group on Sunday. It's not like he's been that far off. He had a 4-shot lead in 2011 going into the final round. So, I mean, he is so talented, and he's one of the arguably 3 best golfers in the world. So it's not like he's that far off. It's just the puzzle pieces haven't lined up, and every year it seems like it's a never-ending search.
It is a never-ending search because he does not have that green jacket. He's never going to be able to avoid the questions, the expectation, and the pressure. So why not try to change it up every year? Because clearly whatever he's doing, he needs to feel comfortable going in there. And as Adam Scott has said, sometimes that changes. What your comfort level is changes. What you expect of yourself changes as you move through your career. And Rory McIlroy is clearly taking a different attitude, a different logistical attitude this year versus a kind of a philosophical attitude that we've seen in the past between whether it was important or trying to minimize the importance of it. I don't think there's anything that's particularly new or startling in all of this other than the fact of skipping the par 3 contest. And that's obviously something that a lot of guys don't want to do in the afternoon, the last few hours before they tee off at the Masters anyway.
Yeah, no, 10,000-foot view. The steps that he's taking this year, like holistically, makes sense. It's just every year that there's a new game plan, and then you have nothing to fall back on to say, okay, well, if I just slightly refine this part, then I'm close. It's like blank slate every year. Let's throw something new together and see what the best results are. And if you look at guys who played the week before, it's kind of been choose your own adventure. When 2 of the last 5 champs at Augusta played the week before. It was Dustin Johnson in 2020, looked great. The Houston Open was T2, then won, carried some form. That was in November, the atypical Masters. Then Hideki Matsuyama the next year carried no form into the Masters. Didn't even have a top 10 finish, was T30 and then won. Scottie Scheffler, Jon Rahm, of course, had multiple wins before they were able to slip on the green jacket.